Everybody knows working with Kubernetes is really hard. It's highly complicated. You have to know how to work with the YAMLs. There's lots of stuff to deal with. Well, let me show you how much easier it can be if you use Speedscale. First of all, we have an operator. It's a Helm chart, installs in 3 minutes. I've got that in other videos. Once it's installed, you can start to get visibility into your cluster. First, a little visibility into how is my operator configured? What are my settings and details like that? How does my data loss prevention and what filter rule am I using and so on? But what I want to show you is how you can get visibility into the workloads. So at a glance here, I can see what are my different namespaces, what applications do I have installed inside my cluster, and for example, let's take this Java auth service. This is one of the demo apps that we have in Speedscale. You can install it very easily. You can click at a glance, get a list of the logs that are running through. Okay, I know you have other ways of getting logs out of the system. That's just a quick and dirty way to pull down the logs in real time. So the other thing that you can do here is you can add the Speedscale sidecar. So you may already know you can do this with a Kubernetes annotation, but that means you have to have access to the YAML. You have to be able to pull it down and edit it. Here, I can say, add the sidecar. I'm going to take all the defaults for the requests and limits and things like that. And I also want to get the decrypted outbound TLS traffic. And because this app is Java, there's an extra Java setting as well. So we don't need to worry about these other things or diagnostics mode and stuff like that. When I hit update, it will automatically redeploy my application with all of the appropriate settings, and we are off to the races. So we can already see here that new set of logs is available to grab the sidecar logs. So if I want to see how the sidecar is working and did it come up correctly, well, I have mine in debug mode. So you can see I'm already getting logs and that kind of thing coming through, which means the restart happened. And then also you get an idea of whether the sidecar was installed properly. Well, let's go ahead and try to find the service now. So in the service list here, okay, I got a lot of different services. Let me go to the service homepage and search for the one Java auth. Here it is, last seen a few seconds ago. And well, actually, this is kind of what we saw in the logs. There's a bunch of MySQL traffic. This particular application, whenever it starts up, it's got to go and communicate with MySQL. It makes a variety of different, this is kind of initialization, handshake kind of calls. And let me see if there's any of these that look interesting. So you can see the exact SQL statement that's issued here and exactly how the application, in this case MySQL, exactly how MySQL responded. So you'll frequently see these kinds of calls at boot up or at start time, these table schema ones, these session ones and that kind of thing. So what we're looking for is to see if we have some inbound traffic, and we do. So I've got both the outbound calls to the database, but let me filter down to inbound. So you can filter on a variety of different things here. This is just a runtime filter, so the traffic's already been captured. I just want to look at particular calls. And when I view inbound traffic, this is just the calls that are coming from the outside to the pod itself, to the workload itself. And I can see as recently as 3 seconds ago, the different calls that have come in. So I've got details on this. There was a GET request, it took 1 second. And I should see in here some authorization information. You may have seen this kind of thing in the past. This is called a JWT or a bearer token. So you can actually break that data down using the auth screen here. And I can see what kind of algorithm it is. And what's the subject? When was this issued? January 7th. That's today. And when does it expire? January 7th. Well, it expires a few minutes from now. So that's what you typically see with these kinds of tokens, by the way. So instant visibility into what's happening with my application. Remember, we didn't run any kubectl. I'm wearing my kubectl shirt today, but we didn't run any kubectl commands. We didn't have to do a bunch of different stuff. You get this point and click. So I've collected a little bit of traffic here. I know it's not a ton of calls, just 11 calls in the last few minutes, But let's say I wanted to run a little load test out of this. So now I've saved it, and I can see in my test list here exactly the specific calls that are going to be taking place and what was the status code that was returned and this kind of thing. And this is the same view that we were just looking at earlier. Let's look at one of the posts. So we can see what was in the request and how did it respond. It's actually interesting. Sometimes we're getting errors here that are returned by the app. It is a demo app after all. So let's say I want to load this up, and everybody knows, writing load tests is a bunch of work. Figuring out how to run it inside my cluster, that's a lot of work. But with Speedscale, we have this replay button here, and all I have to do is fill out a little form. I want to run it in my Miniken cluster, and again, it's in that default namespace. That's where I'm running it. And then what kind of test do I want to run? So I can run a regression scenario. I can run a performance scenario with additional traffic, maybe run it for a couple of minutes, or even make your own custom scenario. So if you make a custom scenario, you can customize it, pick your own load pattern, how many users. Maybe you want, instead of hitting 100 virtual users, maybe you want to achieve a particular throughput, like 50 calls per second. Okay, so it's as easy as this. And yeah, that's fine. We can give it our own custom name. So we'll call this the 50 TPS. Save that. And then all we have to do is say, where do we want to send the traffic? We want to send the traffic to the Java auth service. So if you know Kubernetes networking, it's hard, it's confusing. There's ingress controllers, there's internal routes and all this stuff. You don't have to deal with any of that here. All you have to do, again, I'll just show you what I selected here. We'll get a list of the services that are running inside Kubernetes for you. The Kubernetes operator will pull this list down and show you. You select it, and you're good to go. If you say, no, Ken, I want to put my own URL in there, I've got something special going on, you can customize it, you can off-road if you want, but I don't want to. And then you click Start. So far, I didn't create any YAML files, I didn't have to get some special thing running inside my cluster, and I haven't had to figure out how the networking worked, or how to hook up a log server, or how to deploy anything. The only thing I deployed was the Speedscale Helm chart. Here I am, I've got a load test that's up and running, it's hitting these various endpoints, and I can actually see right here at a glance the throughput by endpoint that's being achieved. And I've got this will run for 5 minutes, I think, because I picked for the test to run for 5 minutes. And again, I'm lazy, I don't even want to pick how many virtual users are required, so Speedscale will make the determination. And I guess it decided the app's fast enough, it only needs two or three virtual users. So it's as fast as that to deploy the sidecar, get visibility into the workloads that are running, drill down into the specific requests and response that are happening in the environment, save it off, and run it as a load test. So if you want to check this out for yourself, you can check out all our docs are online at docs.speedscale.com. And everything I showed you is basically covered in this tutorial, which takes you through the entire sequence. And it has another demo app that you can use. There's Kubernetes-based instructions, but it's as simple as what I just showed you to get something up and running and that kind of thing. And again, if you don't have your own app to work with, or you don't want to work with that one, if you look in the Speedscale demo repo on GitHub, you can see we've already got a bunch of apps for you. If you want some in Go, we've got Go examples. You want Java examples, and so on. So if you have questions and say, hey, Ken, I saw you do something quick, but I didn't follow along, we also have a community Slack. If you join our community Slack, it's on slack.speedscale.com. You can join in, ask questions, reach out, and we would love to catch up with you. Thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you soon.